Jacks or Jones of all trades, people we walk by and don't notice. They are just part of the landscape. These people are the innocuous photobombs or just happenstance encounters. What if that landscape or photobomb is your lifeline to another day of living? Let us celebrate those people once again at Carltim Pallisades of ZX Media Group. Curious and interesting people segment. Jasmine.
Hello.
And I am Tim, and my doppelganger and much thinner Tim, Larson here.
Hi.
Welcome to our podcast, and you the viewer as well. You have a lot of side gigs. I think you mentioned you work at a number of places. Have you mentioned that yet? Or?
No. I have 3 jobs. Can I mention where?
It's up to you. I mean,
I work at Marvin Windows. They're out of Warroad, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
I do that in West Fargo. Marvin Windows, we assemble sliding glass doors. I also work at Cashwise Foods or Coborn's. And I also work for the Red Hawks baseball team here in Fargo. I work for the Force hockey team here in Fargo. And just a lot of side gigs, a lot of fun.
You're a busy man.
I don't sit very long. It's all in the fun. At Force and at Red Hawks, I do some bartending, beer pour, and I really like that because I get to talk to people and they come up and they give me grief and I'll give it back to them, and just like to make sure people have a good time.
How do you maintain all that and then the family life?
Not a lot of sleep.
Yeah.
Not a lot of
So
sleep.
you got to spend some time with them as well.
Right, but my kids are older.
So
my son is 19. My daughter is 17.
So they got their own lives. They're out.
They got
doing
their own lives.
things,
They're doing their own things. My daughter, she's our social butterfly. My son is our one who likes to work. He is working full time for a pizza place here in Fargo, and and I work probably. Between the 3-4 jobs, I work probably anywhere between 60 and 80 hours a week. And it's fun. I like it. Just don't get a lot of sleep.
No. There was an incident in one of your jobs that was involving a defibrillator. And,
Yes. I had a gentleman when I was at Cashwise one day, May 30th. I'm an online shopper. And I came out of the online office with my pick list to go shop for my customer, and there was a gentleman collapsed on the floor, and there was 2 people working with him. I found out later that one of them was a nurse and one of them was just a co-worker at Cashwise. And they had him down, they had him on his side. He wasn't breathing proper. They were on the phone with 911. Come up, we rolled him onto his back. And I immediately began hands-on compressions, CPR. Did my 30-2. I actually did mouth-to-mouth with this gentleman. He was starting to turn color, and I kept going. Then Deputy Sheriff showed up, and the nurse took over with compressions, and I come around to the side of his head. AED came. I hooked up the AED. Had that going. We shocked him 4 times by the time the ambulance got there. According to the report that was out, it was 7 minutes, but I'll tell you, it was the longest 7 minutes of my life. It was, and like I said, I was doing very deep compressions on him. He was a very, large gentleman, and I knew I had to press deep. I have had training in this. I also teach CPR and first aid, and so I've had quite a bit of experience with it. And then we did CPR on him until the ambulance got there, and they took him out. Later that evening, my wife and I were out at dinner, and got a phone call from my boss that he had made it. and he was in stable condition at the hospital. And now, next in July sometime, I had a phone call from FM Ambulance, and we are going to receive a life-saving reward from FM, from Fargo Moorhead
That's very cool.
Ambulance.
Very cool.
Pretty proud of that. It's my first time actually doing hands-on. It's not my first time I've used my skills to save somebody, but it is my first time of doing actual CPR. And everybody was kind of freaked out that with all of the stuff going on nowadays that I actually did mouth to mouth.
Oh,
But
you did.
when you're doing it, you do what you gotta do. I saw him as a patient
And you're not
laying
even
there.
thinking about that at
No,
that
I
time
didn't
at all.
even think about that. All I saw was his color. I knew he needed help. He wasn't breathing, and I just went and did what I needed to do, and he's alive today. So that made me feel pretty good that I was able to save him.
So you were this person's lottery ticket that day, and you already talked about your.
He hit the
training.
daily double, yes. He may not have won any tickets because he was at the instant buy machine, and he may not have won any tickets, but he did win a second chance at life.
In regards to medical issues, you have your own that has rolled up upon you, neurofibromatosis.
Yes.
In your words, what does this mean?
Neurofibromatosis, or NF1, it's much easier to say, is a genetic nerve disorder. Thanks, Mom.
Is it passed from the female or to the male?
It does not matter.
Does that?
My mom had it, but hers was, you develop what's called the cafe au lait spots. Cafe au lait spots, and it's like I said, genetic nerve disorder, but the cafe au lait spots look like somebody took coffee on their fingers and flecked it all over you, you get little stains all over.
Okay.
And I'd had those all my life, and never really, doctors had never really said much about it. And then when I was about 25, I was diagnosed with I had my first tumor removed from the top of my foot. It was it's a very painful thing. The best way I can describe it is if you hit your funny bone. But I have these tumors from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. I've had somewhere between 400 and 450 of these tumors removed because they are very painful. And so I had the very first one removed from the top of my foot. The doctor called me about 5 days later and told me what it was, and the diagnosis. And he said, as we go, he said you can have them, probably want to have them removed as pain dictates. So I have been, and I said over the past years I've had probably 400, 450 of those removed.
Wow.
And my children have been checked by my geneticist at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. They do not show any signs or symptoms as of now. In October of 2015, I was having migraines on the right and paralysis on the left. It was like somebody took a knife in midline, and the left side I was having paralysis, weakness, speech issues, and it happened 2-3 times, and I didn't think too much of it. And then when it happened the 4th and 5th time, I thought, okay, this is something serious. I called my family doctor, got a hold of his nurse, and I told her I was having migraines on the right, and they're getting pretty bad. And she said, okay, can you come in a couple of weeks? I said, well, he didn't let me finish. I said, I'm having migraines on the right, and I'm having paralysis on the left. She said, can you be here tomorrow? I had an appointment the next day with my family doctor. They started running tests, and that was in October 2015. In March or April 2016, they had found that I had a tumor between C5 and C6 on my spinal cord. It's called a schwannoma, and it was horseshoe shaped around my spinal cord and had my spinal cord down to about 1/8 of an inch. The spinal cord is supposed to be at 5/8. And I was called into my doctor's office, my spine doctor's office at that time, and he said, I could have done this over the phone. He said, but this is extremely serious. He said, I want to talk to you face to face. He said, I really enjoyed having you as a patient. He said, you are he said, I admire you for your positivity in this. He said, but I'm going to send you to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester because the tumor you have is wrapped around your spinal cord. And if you don't have surgery on this, he said, you're going to be paralyzed. He said, it's been in there approximately 15 years. And the tumors are very slow growing, so what it would do is it would grow and stop, grow and stop, grow and stop. And he said, it's in a new growth period right now. He said, so we don't know how long it's going to keep growing. He said, but if we don't, he said, I guarantee you 100% you'll be paralyzed. He said they should be contacting you within the next couple of weeks at Mayo Clinic. And this was on Friday, I believe. On Tuesday, they called me from Mayo Clinic, and they said, we want you here next week. We looked at your doctor's test results, we looked at your MRI, and we want you here immediately. They said, we'll give you a week to get time to get stuff together. These are your appointments. And I called, or I got a hold of them at my work, and they said, you don't worry about anything, you go. So I went to work, I went to Mayo. I was there for 3 days, had 14 appointments, had MRIs, CT scans, x-rays, biopsies. I met with geneticists, I met with neurosurgeon, neurologist, pretty much every doctor you can.
No astrologers.
No astrologers, because my stars weren't lined up. And they said that, they agreed with the findings at Fargo, and they said that we want you back within 3 weeks, 4 weeks to have surgery. I said, go home, basically get your ducks in a row, because we will guarantee you 100% if you don't have surgery, it's going to be paralysis, and you have a 20% chance of not walking off the table with this surgery. We'll ask one favor of you, and I said, what is that? My doctor said, we are a teaching and research hospital. We want to be able to videotape and take photos of your surgery to share them with hospitals around the world. It's like, okay, I said, under one condition. My doctor said, what? I said that I get the pictures, I get copies, and they said, absolutely. And they did give me pictures eventually. I did get photos of it, and it was pretty nasty
Pretty
looking.
gruesome?
Pretty gruesome.
Oh.
It was very large. He said he was surprised I was able to function as well as I could with the surgery. They did a surgery called a laminectomy, laminoplasty, where they go in and they cut the two vertebrae in half, one on each side of it. They take the tumor out and they screw the vertebrae back together. When I went back in for my follow-up surgery a year later, or follow-up checkup a year later, they found out that one of the vertebrae had actually broken. 2 months later, I'm back again and they fused me. I am fused from C5 to T2 in my neck, 2 rods, 10 screws, and to this day I'm still having quite a bit of pain from it. And now I was just at Mayo 2 days ago, Friday, and they are going to start me on chemotherapy to shrink the tumors. There's a brand new drug out called Casalugo, or I can't pronounce it. It's a tough one to pronounce.
Yeah.
And they are going to try to shrink the tumors, or at least stop them growing, to preserve quality of life. When I had an MRI down there last week, my doctor said that I have so many tumors within that side of my body that they can't even count them. And he said, we can't go in and keep doing surgery after surgery after surgery, try to find the pain and the ones causing the issues. He said, because we can't go in. He said, every surgery is a risk of infection, risk of nerve damage. He said, we can lose function in your hands. He said, so we're not gonna do that. We're gonna try this new chemotherapy. It was just approved by the FDA April 20th, and we'll see what we can do with it. There is some side effect issues, and he said, we'll just try to get you through the best we can. And that's where I am with that.
If you had caught it earlier, would it be as bad as it is now?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
'cause it
There's
just
nothing they can
keeps-
do for
oh,
it.
'cause it
There's
just
nothing they
keeps
can do.
growing.
Like I said, this chemotherapy was just approved 2 months ago. And he said, otherwise, if we'd been talking about, if you'd have been here in January and we'd have been talking about this, he said, we'd have been talking surgery. He said, but being now that there's this new option out there, we're going to try it first. If it doesn't work, he said, we're going to try it for a year. If it doesn't work, then we'll go with surgery. But he said, we want to try to stop or shrink the tumors. He said they've had pretty good success rate with shrinking the tumors. They did the study for this drug through Mayo Clinic in Rochester and through the University of Alabama. And originally I was supposed to be one of them that tested this new drug. But being 5 hours away, I couldn't be able to go in and do all the blood tests weekly and all that they needed to be done, So they went with others, and now that they're going to have this new drug now, they're going to try it on me and see what happens.
You're like a Renaissance man. You're
Yeah.
you're helping save people's lives. You're
Yes.
working so many jobs. You're pouring beers for people, for God's sake.
Yes, yes. And that's probably one of my favorite jobs.
Yeah.
But now I'm going through this, and you know, people, out of all the procedures I've had open heart surgery, I've had stomach surgery for what they called malrotation, because as you're developing, way back when you were inside, all your intestines and that turn and twist and go into the shape where they're supposed to be. Well, I had an issue with my belly one time, went in and they did an MRI, and they found out that when my stuff started switching around, it didn't go where it was supposed to, because my appendix was over here and everything was just kind of all messed up. And so they went in and they fixed everything, put everything back where it should be. I've had open heart surgery. I've had my eyes operated on. I've had my knees done. I've had 450 of these tumors removed. So I've had many procedures. But of all of this, all of those, this one has me worried the most, because the unknown. What's going to happen? What's going to happen to me? Is it going to work?
And this isn't a very common,
No.
it's
No,
an
it's-
uncommon.
What is the difference between NF1 and NF2? Is NF2 more aggressive?
NF2, yes, NF2 can cause, usually it's more with children, it can
Yep.
cause a lot of blindness, deaf, more in the spinal cord.
No.
But then mine is kind of doing a lot of that too.
Same
so
thing. It's just
yeah,
a little slower.
It's a little slower.
Yeah.
And I have had issues with my hearing, and people are telling me that I can't hear anything.
Is that just selective hearing with your wife?
Okay. It's also at work.
Yeah,
The boss is calling, it's like, what? You know, that is
I think we all do that at some point,
Yeah.
right?
And so I mean I've even been feeling pressure in my ear,
Yeah.
but now when I'm going to meet with my family doctor here within the next couple of weeks, because I'm going to go over with him all the side effects and such of this medication, because I gave him the information and he's going to look it up. So I'm going to go have a meeting, have an appointment with him and go over this stuff, because he's been my doctor for 25 years. So he knows me inside and out, literally. And so I can, you know, talk to him, sit down with him, and talk to him about it, and get his professional side of it and what's going to happen.
Well, Tim, you are multifaceted, and we definitely have enjoyed having you here. We'll have to have you here again, and you can kind of tell us what the progress is. And,
I will.
In the future, and you can update us on what is going. Jasmine, any parting words to Tim, or?
I just hope everything goes well for you.
Thank
It was really great meeting you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tim, it's been
Yep.
fun as always. I've known this guy for 40 some years.
A few moons.
Few moons.
Yes.
Few moons, few blue moons, few super moons.
Yes.
But yeah, I would love to come back again sometime if you want to have me back, and any of the other shoots, now that people know me a little bit.
Yep.
They know me. I would love to come back and help you out with another.
We can talk about fishing.
There we go.
Yep.
Fishing, and you had mentioned you want to do a thing with bugs again. I would love to come and try out some bugs.
Oh yeah, that one's interesting.
I would love to come and do that. That'd be fun. My wife thinks I'm sick, but you know, that's all right. She already thinks that anyway.
What are a few bugs gonna do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
this will conclude our session today, and I would like to thank Tim for his
Thank
time
you.
and you, the viewers. Please check out our YouTube links, and as we've said previously, is that there's other podcasts that involve other interesting, curious people. Please check them out. And in regards to that, I will alliterate this by saying that we've had in Carltim Pallisades ZX Media Group, we've interviewed Dustin Duster from the Crop Dusters, and if you're buying a house, Conrad Clean Camera, and Attic Treasures, as well as the interview with Prediction of Which, a number of others. We just had, skits by Devin, and we just had Lorraine on. So please feel free to look into that, and thank you for stopping by, and stay safe.
Everybody stay cool out there. It's a scorcher.
Stay cool, stay safe. See you next time.
Songs that make me whole. When I'm free, I wait to gather my pieces till I'm free, and I hope that I'll discover the real me. Yes, I hope that I'll discover the real me. Hope that I'll discover that when I'm free, I'll wait to gather my pieces till I'm free, and I'm at.
My favorite photography is whatever's in front of my lens. I am now at a professional level to where I do weddings, I do engagements, I do senior photography.
Well, you mean old people like me, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can't say much because I'm older. Not a lot older, but older. And my favorite subject is probably nature. I do macro photography, pretty much whatever's in front of my camera. I do have a Facebook site called Photos by Tim. Photos by Tim. And you can also get a hold of me through my Facebook site, which is Fargo Dad ×2, and get a hold of me through that, and I can hook you up with the Photos by Tim, and you can see what I can do.